lot of special events and special guests, and we are running late, and I appreciate your patience. The committee work was robust today. I think we're all glad to be back in our regular boardroom. So I will call the meeting to order, and again, welcome our special guest here for special events, our legislative delegation, Senator White, and our representatives, and the families of our two Professor Emeriti who will be recognized later. First, though, the board, as a matter of business, needs to approve the minutes of the March 11th, 2022 board meeting. You received them in your packets, and I would entertain a motion, any discussion of changes or additions to those, and if not, a motion to approve in a second.
I move to approve.
Governor Gibson, is there a second?
Second.
I heard Richard first, so upon the motion of Gibson and second by Richard, all those who vote to approve the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes are approved. Now I would ask the board's permission. We have two items of the agenda that we want to move up, but I will need a motion to do that. And the first is a recognition of, where is he? We've changed the seats. Mr. Yost and his family, again, his wife Bridget and his family is here as our special guest. But, and we have other guests here on his behalf, but I'd need a motion to move that up on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Rosenberg and Oplotnik. So, again, Rob and his wife, there she is, Bridget, thank you for coming. We're happy to be here on your behalf, but we are sad to see this day coming. And we thank you for all your work. Dr. Van Galen wants to say a few words, but I just, on behalf of the board, you've been here since I've been here and long before, and I want to express our appreciation, and we have something that I'm going to pass down to Carlos because he works the most. It's from all the board, but I'm going to let him do the talking.
Well, Mr. Rob, we appreciate all your efforts and works, budget year after year. You've been a staple here at Missouri Southern. Thank you for all you've done for this university. Thank you for keeping us all in line, making sure every dollar is accounted for. I know this has not been an easy year this last year, but challenging. We thank you for staying the course and believing in the board and what we're doing and how we're moving forward.
Appreciate
so, on honor of the board, this is to you.
Thank you.
Enjoy it, and we appreciate all your efforts.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
But now we're not done talking because we got a lot more to say, and Dr. Van Galen's going to kick that off.
So, Vice President Hughes, on behalf of the university, thank you for your many years of outstanding and dedicated service. There are really very few others who've made such a difference in a positive way for so long here at Missouri Southern. And I know I speak for many when I say thank you. We had a reception on campus Monday for Rob, and of course he wanted it low key, but there were many people who came forward, and it was very clear the quality of relationships that he developed and the respect that he enjoys on this campus. And I think that says a great deal about Rob. Also, I especially want to thank you for helping me over the last 2 years as I've transitioned to the university. I think I'm the fourth president you've trained, and when I said that previously, you said I'm still not trained yet, so that's fine. But also for your great stewardship of resources. As a public university, we rely primarily on tuition dollars from our students and their families, and on the resources from the citizens of the state of Missouri. And you and I think all of us take that stewardship function very seriously. So thank you for doing that so well for so many years. We do have some special recognitions, and I would like to welcome and ask to the podium 3 of our legislators from this region. So we have Representative Lane Roberts, Representative Bob Bromley, and Senator Bill White. We thank you for being here today to help us honor Mr. Youst, and I believe Representative Roberts, you will be starting the remarks.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I always like coming to this beautiful campus. I've known Rob for about 15 years. We're not buddies, we haven't socialized, but I've worked with him peripherally and somewhat directly. I believe this university is largely responsible and successful because of this person's conduct. I think you could argue that Rob is an institution in its own right. And
Hear, hear.
I mean, when somebody has that kind of impact on a locale and on something as important as Missouri Southern, it's appropriate that the state recognize him. So in that regard, I'd like to recognize two of my colleagues, Senator White and Representative Bromley. Senator White has a resolution from the Senate.
Well, I want to say that most of the time when we give a resolution, it's not this big, and there's not this much stuff in it. Any one of the sentences that, I'm not going to read everything on here, but any one of these paragraphs is worthy of a resolution. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them at least that have incredible things. I mean, just very briefly, and again, I've been aware, been involved with MSSU since I was in the legislature. It's been 12 years. But into your role, in addition to, let me find again, there's so much here, I got to track it down. Responsibility, promoted to Vice President of Business Affairs in 2010. In addition, roles Chief Accountant, Treasurer, Assistant Vice President of Business Affairs. Responsibility for emergency management, environmental safety, capital construction, budgeting and operations, housing all the MSSU records, and the ability to lead in officers in finance, budget, purchasing, human resources, information technology. The list goes on. This is an incredible, I don't get to do these very often. This may actually be the most encompassing of works that I've given a resolution to somebody for. You've had a great tenure here. As Lane said, I'm not going to call you an institution, but you have definitely, the institution is because what you've done here, you've shaped this institution. Very few people have the ability to touch all these areas. And with the impact, $145 million in construction that you've supervised, that's been over how many years? That's a long time of construction. Yeah. And the campus is beautiful. The buildings are great. Like I say, I'm almost without words because this is something that we don't get to do every day for somebody that has this type of credentials to get one of these resolutions. And you definitely deserve retirement. I hope you really do a little retirement. I do note that you're very involved with the Alumni Association, the foundation, and don't know how much you're going to plan to continue on that, but you need to take a break. You don't need to get another one of these in 5 or 10 years with another same thing for the foundation. You need to enjoy and have a little retirement. So I'll turn it over to Bob.
So I've never known Senator White to be so long, but he's a typical politician. I would just like to echo some of what my colleagues here have said. When you think about a partnership between the legislature and a university, it's everybody has to win in that relationship. And sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. But here lately, we've had a lot of money come in. That's made it a little bit better. And it's always challenging when those days are not here. I know universities have a lot of challenges, and we have a lot of challenges in the legislature also. But I will say that it takes a lot of long-term employees to make an organization be as good as Missouri Southern. And we have a partnership, I think, that is very unique between the legislature and the board and the president and with all your colleagues. And I think it's something that, we should value and we should cherish that and make sure that continues, because this is something that is very vital for our communities. I've got 2 children that graduated from Missouri Southern. They're not living in my basement. They're gainfully employed. That's what universities are supposed to be doing. And I think that your missions and what you've done here is very valuable to the communities and very valuable to the state. And we just wish not only Rob the best of luck, but we wish the universities the best of luck. And just my words of advice on retirement, you may think that you will never be able to forget all this, but about a month from now, you won't be thinking much about Missouri Southern. And that's a good thing, because there's somebody else waiting behind you in the wings to take over. And I think that's one thing that a lot of times we fail to remember. Your whole time here, 29 years, you've been training people to make sure this thing goes on continually. And hopefully that will be the case, and you're going to have a very rewarding retirement.
Thank you.
And appreciate everything you've done here.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
How many people are they hiring to replace you? I need to know that.
I'll let Dr. Van Galen.
Okay, I'll ask him afterwards.
You know, this, I wasn't gonna say anything, but this is not a one-man show, obviously. Everybody around the table, and staff senate, faculty senate, everybody contributes to the success of this university. It's not me. I'm just kind of there and to offer advice, help as needed. But this was a challenging year. We positioned ourselves very, very well going forward for the future. And as I've told now 2 or 3 different groups, we're going to take off here in the next year or two. And this university is going to do great things, and I fully believe that. So I think I'm leaving it in good hands with everybody around this table and both senates and the employees of this university. So I appreciate all the accolades. Thank you.
Well, on behalf of the board, thank you again, Rob, and thank you to our legislative delegation. Those words were inspiring to all of us, and I know they meant a lot to Rob. So, again, it's just hard to go on because we don't know what we'll do, but you've set a good example. So, another exciting order of celebratory business was taken up this morning by our Academic Affairs Committee. So we need to move that also up on the agenda so those guests can not have to listen to all of our budget woes. So I would need a motion to move up one academic affairs item, and that is the Emeriti recognition ceremony.
So moved.
Governor Oplotnik has moved to move it up the agenda. Is there a second? Rosenberg, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so now we will take that up, and again, I will turn it over to Dr. Van Galen to start that off, and then back to Governor Oplotnik.
So we're very honored to ask the board to consider approval of 2 emeriti. I believe Dr. Toms will be going to the podium, and we'll also hear from Dr. Stebbins as we learn about the great work that these faculty have done.
Governor Hirschray and board, as you know, Missouri Southern has a highly qualified and engaged faculty body. A part of recognizing those who have dedicated themselves to MSSU and our students and who have had stellar careers here is to award emeritus status. At this time, I would like to introduce Dr. Chad Stebbins, who will present the 2 nominees for emeritus faculty status. Dr. Stebbins is a professor of journalism and the director of the Institute of International Studies.
Thank you, Dr. Toms. It is my pleasure today to introduce 2 longtime faculty members at Missouri Southern who will be recommended to you for faculty emeritus status at Missouri Southern. Dr. Conrad Gubera, a professor of sociology, was a member of the faculty from 1967 until his retirement in 2020. That's 53 years, a record in my estimation that will never be broken. If that wasn't enough, Dr. Gubera came back and served an additional year, the 2020-21, as a part-time faculty on the phased retirement status. Dr. Bill Cambier was a professor of English and philosophy from 1989 until his retirement in 2020.
So combined, Dr. Gabera and Dr. Kambir have 84 years of full-time faculty service to Missouri Southern. Dr. Gabera and Dr. Kambir, along with Dr. Paul Tevereau, helped advance and promote the university's international mission more than anyone else on campus. Dr. Gabera taught Introduction to International Studies every fall semester from 1996 until his retirement, and Dr. Kambir taught World Humanities every fall semester. Both of these classes were required for the International Studies degree. Both led numerous study abroad trips. Dr. Gabera took students to England and Central America. Dr. Kambir took students to India, France, Switzerland, and Canada. Both advised clubs that are connected to MSSU's international mission. Dr. Gabera directed the Model Arab League for 28 years and drove students to the annual conference in Texas every April. Dr. Kambir, along with Dr. Tevereau, advised the Model United Nations Club for 22 years and took students to the American Midwest Model United Nations Conference in Chicago every November. Both made presentations as part of our theme semesters. Dr. Gabera, for example, gave a talk on spirit houses for the Thailand semester. Dr. Kambir spoke on The King and I, also for the Thai semester. Dr. Kambir also worked with the International Film Festival for 16 years, selecting, showing, and introducing some 250 films during that period. Both were also giants in their own departments. Dr. Gabera taught more than 30 different courses in social sciences, advised hundreds, if not thousands, of sociology majors, and worked closely with the Sociology Club for 19 years. According to Dr. Jill Greer, a colleague of Dr. Gabera's in social sciences who nominated Dr. Gabera for emeritus status, he is perhaps the single most qualified person to ever be nominated for this honor in Missouri Southern's entire history. His career has literally spanned the existence of this institution at the current campus as a four-year college. Dr. Kambir was a passionate teacher, a dedicated scholar, and loved watching students flourish. According to Dr. Cliff Tolliver, a colleague who nominated Dr. Kambir for emeritus status, Bill has been the heart and soul of the Department of English and Philosophy. No single person, I believe, has given more of himself to our university in terms of time, hard work, emotional investment, and intellectual devotion than Dr. Kambir. Dr. Gabera was named Missouri Southern's Outstanding Faculty Member in 1996. Dr. Kambir received that same honor in 2009, as well as the Missouri Governor's Award for Excellence in Education in 2010. I think you will agree with me that Dr. Conrad Gabera and Dr. Bill Kambir are most deserving of faculty emeritus status. Thank you.
Thank you. That's, again, inspiring. This is a good meeting. So I will turn the meeting now over to Governor Oplotnik, who will bring forward the recommendations of the Academic Affairs Committee.
Sure, the Academic Affairs Committee met this morning, and we have approved the recommendation to the full board. So I'd like to make a motion to approve Dr. William Kambir for emeritus status.
I second that.
I've got a motion by Governor Oplotnik and a second by Governor Rosenberg to award emeritus status to Dr. William Kambir. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Dr. Kambir.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Is there another recommendation from the Academic Affairs Committee?
Sure. We have a second recommendation also for emeritus status of Dr. Conrad Gabera.
I have a motion from Governor Oplotnik to award emeritus status to Dr. Conrad Gabera in recognition for his service that you just heard about. Is there a second?
I second that.
A second by Governor Rosenberg. All those in favor of awarding the title of Professor Emeritus to Dr. Conrad Gubera. Signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Congratulations, Dr. Gubera, and thank you.
Can you guys do that? I'm sorry. Workers can get a better picture.
Thank you, Heather. Everybody's got a job here. Thank you, Heather.
It's important.
Yes, it is.
I know. Me too. I remember seeing
To finish up our discussion, I was reminded, as you know, or you may or may not remember, several of the Board of Governors are alumni of MSSU, and I think several of them remember Dr. Gubera as a teacher when they were here. I'm not naming any names or telling the year, but
Long time ago.
thank you again for your service, all three of you, including Rob. So, we will now return to our regularly scheduled programming. Let's see, and that starts with the board reports, starting with Dr. Van Galen with the President's report.
Thank you, Governor Hirschway. A few updates. We concluded the 2021-22 academic year with a wonderful reminder of our purpose during our 2 commencement ceremonies here on campus on May 14th. It was an honor to recognize 680 new Missouri Southern graduates. Our commencement speaker was 2002 graduate Katie Marsh, and if you were able to attend, you would agree she provided a outstanding, truly inspiring address to the crowd. I'm certainly grateful to the faculty and staff who helped make a great commencement possible, and grateful to the board members who were able to attend. Also earlier we had legislators here, and just a very brief update. Things went very well in Jefferson City this legislative session, and to recap a little bit, there are a number of budget actions that the legislature took that are now under consideration by Governor Parson for approval, so these are not final. But as a reminder, for fiscal year 23, the legislature is recommending a 5.4% core funding increase for all of public higher education. That's about $1.4 million in new funding from Missouri Southern. They're also recommending funds to help higher education institutions offset increases in Moser's costs for next year. For us, that would be about $500,000 to $12,000. And then also the legislature is recommending a 50% state funding of a package of capital projects for higher education, and that includes a $30 million total Health Science Innovation Center here at Missouri Southern. So I really especially want to thank our regional and local legislators for their support. Many of them are leaders up in Jefferson City and have helped Missouri Southern in countless ways. Later this morning, or this afternoon rather, Dr. Toms will speak more about strategic planning. So I just want to point out that it is an exciting time as we complete our current strategic plan, but also look to the future through a process that is very inclusive of our faculty and staff and external stakeholders. But I know Dr. Toms will speak more about that. Next week, we'll be hosting the Coordinating Board for Higher Education meeting here on campus. It's really a tremendous honor and a great opportunity to have the CBHE board and staff and other higher ed leaders from around the state learn more about Missouri Southern and what is special about our campus and our community. They'll be on campus Tuesday and Wednesday, and Tuesday evening there'll be a reception. The board and several campus leaders have been invited to that. Finally, I want to express some gratitude to some colleagues at the table who are transitioning to new roles. Certainly, I want to again thank Mr. Rob Hughes for his distinguished service at Missouri Southern over the years. He's been a wonderful colleague and really also a very good friend, so thank you, Rob. Also, Heather Lesmeister, who has agreed to accept an exceptional opportunity to serve as the Executive Director of the Spiva Center for the Arts beginning later this month. During her time at Missouri Southern, Heather has provided leadership for the university's communications, marketing, and external relations efforts. Moreover, Heather's commitment, creativity, and willingness to roll up her sleeves to get it done have really made a difference here, and we will miss you, Heather. Also, I want to thank Dr. Julie Wingert for stepping up to serve as Interim Vice President for Student Affairs over the past 18 months. As part of administrative reorganizations that will go into effect July 1st, Julie will lead our student success efforts as Associate Vice President for Student Success, including our commitment to improve retention and the student experience. Julie, thank you. I know you'll continue to contribute much to our campus. As a university, we have a great deal for which to be grateful, a mission that truly changes the course of students' lives, outstanding faculty and staff, and opportunities to envision and realize a bright future together. This concludes my report, Governor Hirschway. As always, I'd be very happy to answer any questions or take any comments.
Are there any questions of Dr. Van Galen about his report or anything else from the governors? Well, I would just like to add on behalf of the board, a thank you for Dr. Wingert. It's a new role and it's exciting, and I appreciate you moving into it and taking it on. And also on behalf of the board, want to thank Heather for getting things right, including today's pictures. We will miss you, but we're glad you'll still be in charge of an important part of our community, and that I hope the university will have be good friends with.
Absolutely, and I look forward to seeing you all there.
Thank you. Okay, our next report is that of our Executive Vice President, and here in his stead today is Kevin Grimes to give
Thank you.
the report.
Happy to be here today. Dr. Hodson's report is at your place settings. We'll start with some positive news from the admissions area. Staff in the Office of Admissions have hosted more than 620 prospective students on campus throughout the spring. You can see the list of the variety of events that have brought these students to Missouri Southern. More events have been hosted and are scheduled throughout this summer. As a result of those efforts and others, through the last day of May, the number of new admitted freshmen is up 17% from last year, from 1,460 to 1,708. You can also see the admission staff is now currently more focused on the completed app phase, ensuring that all students who have applied and completed all aspects of the application are truly eligible for enrollment at this point. Admitted transfer students are down 9% currently, but the heavy season for transfer interest is just really starting. It's different from the freshman push, and we do anticipate seeing that number improve between now and August. Kind of a fun highlight along the lines of student recruitment, filming of the college tour episode is complete. It shows in the post-production stage. This is a project that took cooperation from all kinds of areas of campus. It is a series that airs on Amazon Prime. The Missouri Southern episode will air in November. It showcases 10 different areas of campus. The Missouri Southern episode will also be distributed to more than 60,000 high school counselors across the United States. So that will be an important part of our student recruitment efforts moving forward, not only next year, but in years to come. The final topic that I'll highlight is related to the fundraising campaign feasibility study that was commissioned by the Missouri Southern Foundation. The study's been completed by the J.F. Smith Group, having gathered input from well over 700 constituents. There were more than 120 personal interviews that were conducted, and then a little over 600 people responded to an online survey as well. The study addresses several questions, including, is a campaign feasible? What priorities do supporters find valuable? And what would be a reasonable campaign goal? Further discussions with the J.F. Smith Group are scheduled, and they will assist the university in answering those questions and potentially moving forward with a comprehensive fundraising campaign. That'll conclude the report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Before we get into questions or discussion, I'm reminded by IT for the second time that we do have a different setup that we haven't had again. We need to turn on our microphones when we speak so the green light shows for everybody. So, with that being said, are there any questions or discussion about Mr. Grimes' report?
A question.
Governor Gibson?
So this Amazon Prime College Tour, how was Missouri Southern selected to participate in this?
My understanding that we were approached by Amazon Prime personnel with the opportunity. I don't think there's been another Missouri or Kansas school that have been featured on this program to this point.
Thank you.
And I see Ms. Lesmarner nodding along, so thank you.
You have anything to add, Heather?
There we go. He is correct, and it is, like you said, a wonderful opportunity. And the other exciting part, I believe, about it is all of the raw footage that they collected while they were on campus, Missouri Southern gets to keep.
Oh,
So we'll be able to use that and put it to good use in other aspects. So making our own commercials or making spots or viral pieces. So that will be a nice thing to be able to use as well. And looking forward to hopefully having, which I will delightfully come back to, a wonderful kickoff party where we'll show the film.
Hey, that's exciting.
It is, it's very exciting.
Are there any questions, any other questions for Mr. Grimes about that or any other topics in his report? Okay, moving right along then, we may make up some of our lost time. We will hear from our Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Lisa Thomas.
Good afternoon. Academic Affairs has had a busy spring. One of the things we're most excited about is our return to our study abroad activities.
Thank you, Dr.
Academic Affairs has had a busy spring. One of the things we're most excited about is our return to study abroad activities. 7 faculty-led study abroad trips occurred over the last few weeks. 2 trips went to England, 2 to Italy, 1 to the Czech Republic, 1 to Spain, and 1 to Sweden. 80 students and 13 faculty members spent between 10 to 15 days exploring the elements in these countries that align with the learning outcomes of the programs in which the students are enrolled. Additionally, in this spring 22 semester, 6 students were able to study abroad for the entire semester, and 8 students plan to study abroad for the entire fall 22 semester. So very excited about, for health, obviously for the pandemic reasons, we're able to finally return to that. We will also host many of our future Lions this summer and on-campus activities. The kinesiology department has hosted the Lifetime Sports Academy this week, and we are hearing very positive feedback from many parents, which you would expect when they can drop their children off for great activities, but positive feedback from the students who were, I understand, maybe hesitant about whether they wanted to go, and at the end of the first day, over and over, I've heard parents from different places say how excited the students have been. Was told at a meeting yesterday that Tuesday, one parent's daughter has now decided she will be a professional golfer. So, nothing quite like it. I will go ahead and move on to strategic planning for the remainder of my report. As you know, we've begun the strategic planning process for the 23-27 strategic plan. Since I'm chair of the task force, academic affairs will be deeply engaged in the process. The task force consists of 12 individuals. We will probably be adding another to replace Dr. Otto Borchert, who passed away. And I would also like to tell you that they are representative of faculty, staff, and administration, so chosen from throughout the university to represent their constituents and their point of view as well. Let me tell you a little bit about the activities leading up to the rollout and implementation of the strategic plan in the fall of 2023, particularly those that will occur this summer and fall. And if I go beyond that, probably none of us will remember it anyway. But I would like to talk for a little while about the external environmental scan. There are 6 individuals on campus that I've asked to put together throughout the summer an environmental scan or collection of facts, of factors that will affect not only Missouri Southern, but higher education as in general for the next 5 to 10 years. Those elements, the factors they'll be looking at follow what we call the PEST-C model. So political, economic, social, technological, and competitive factors. And so they have already begun their work. They are looking at articles, websites, Bureau of Labor Statistics, websites like that, as well as interviewing experts in those areas to bring back to us just an understanding of where we think the external environment is going so that we can respond appropriately. Their report is due August 1st. As well, over the last 2 weeks and throughout the month of June, we are holding internal stakeholder input sessions. We're doing 6 of these in June. 20 individuals have signed up for each session, not all of them yet, but we've had 20 or more at the 2 that we've had, and we're asking them to give us input in their opinions and the knowledge that they have following. We used to have SWOT analysis, and you'll be probably interested to know that that's become somewhat defunct, and it's considered somewhat negative. So now we do a SOAR analysis: strengths, opportunities, aspirations, and results. And so there have been a lot of really good comments. The participants have been appreciative of the opportunity to share their thoughts and opinions and have asked to be kept informed as we move through the process of where we're going with this information, and then for us to be transparent, the task force to be transparent as we move forward in pulling all the information together to put the strategic plan in place. We'll also work on gathering internal data, enrollment trends by major, those kinds of things. As we transition into the fall semester, we will present those results of the environmental scan. We will ask the board to work with us for your input according to a SOAR model. We will, as a task force, will retreat to plan our work for the fall, to regroup if we need to and see if there are other activities that need to be added to the list. We'll review the mission statement and core values, not saying that we're going to change it, but we need to review to make sure that it fits the information that we've gathered. And then the president will share a new vision statement at some point early in the fall. We will also gather stakeholder input from our students, which I guess I left off of that list, but we will gather input from our students through a similar SOAR analysis and also surveys, as well as external stakeholder input from our alumni and from other external stakeholders in the community, in the region. And then moving on into November, December, we'll take all the student input and everything else, and we will take the external environmental scan, and we'll look for commonalities or themes that will help us to move forward in drafting the mission. If we change the mission statement and core values, to do that, as well as begin the discussion of strategic directions, themes, goals, and objectives. And I'll stop there and ask for any questions that you have.
Are there any questions for Dr. Toms about her report or the strategic planning that's beginning? No questions.
And that concludes mine.
Okay. Her report is concluded, and thank you for that, Dr. Toms. It's nice to be in this room where I can actually see you, being a relatively new face. So next, we will hear from Dr. Winger
Thank you, Governor Herschel.
about student affairs.
Thank you, Governor. Highlighted in my report is a list of opportunities for student recruitment and engagement that Student Affairs has been engaging in since our last meeting. We were able to get into 6 of our top feeder high schools alongside the admissions team to start facilitating conversations for enrollment. So that was a different approach to freshman enrollment that we took this year, and we got very positive feedback and hope that we can continue to do that in the future. Very popular this spring was our Food Truck Friday event. We will continue to do these 1 month per semester in the future. I think the food trucks enjoyed being here, and so did the campus community. There are several other items listed here within the report that you can see. We had several ceremonies to honor our inductees into Phi Eta Sigma and to recognize some of our great leaders in the student body. We also had some entertainers and some guest speakers. The last page of my report highlights some things that I've been bringing throughout the course of the academic year to this meeting, but this shows you how we wrapped up our 3 divisional goals that we set for this academic year, and how we've made progress on each one of those in reaching the student body and who we might need to reach out further to in future years. So that concludes my report, and I look forward to questions.
Are there any questions for Dr. Winger about her report or student affairs? Yes, Governor Gibson.
Okay, this doesn't have anything to do with that. But I just want to thank Dr. Winger again for her leadership with respect to the pandemic task force on campus. Thank you again for that.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay, next on our list for the last time is our Vice President for Business Affairs. No, we're not doing that.
Some of us are.
Mr. Yost.
Thank you, appreciate it. I'll give you a very brief construction update. First project is the campus improvements on the Oval. Those are, for the most part, complete. There's a couple of loose ends we're gonna have to tie it. And one of which is the IT wiring, the optics. The new light poles on the campus are equipped with the capability of utilizing IT, in the poles, but we've got to get it to some source into a building, and that's where we had an issue. And so we ran into some supply issues in the building. They're going to hook it into the bottom floor of Hearns, and they should be hooking that up probably in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, I looked at Ashley because she's kind of been a part of that as well. So hopefully within the next 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, that the IT capabilities will be remedied. Another issue would be in the tunnel. Although anybody gets a chance, they need to go walk in the tunnel underneath Newman Road. It's very impressive. But we are putting another coat of what they call anti-graffiti sealant, but it has to be under a certain temperature, and then when they do that, they have to put up paper and all that stuff. So right now, they still have not done that, and they said that they have to do that in the next couple of weeks, and the temperature's got to maintain, no rain. Anyway, we're still dealing with that.
You're going to be around till July 1st, is that right?
This is somebody else's issue. So anyway, and the final is the landscaping. Every time they do hydro seeding, it seems like it rains. And so they got a big, nice pile of hydro seed, in one area, but they did it again. I received a text from the contractor, I believe, on Friday, and lo and behold, in the weekend it rained again. So gonna wait to do it one more time, and then they'll be finished with the landscaping, and that whole project will be done once we get those loose ends tied up. The final project that I'll report on is TPAC. And the wall remediation, when I described that earlier, that will be complete within the next 2 or 3 weeks. Then the other fun starts, and that is putting up the rigging, which is where the whole thing started many years ago when they took the old rigging down to put the new rigging up. They discovered the issue with the wall. And so now they're going back, once the walls are completed with the remediation, new rigging's going back up. If you go in there right now, which no one's allowed in there, but if you go in there right now, all the seating, all the carpeting has been removed. It's getting clean, so rigging goes up, carpet goes down, seating goes on top, all of which will be completed by November. That's it. Anybody have any questions?
Will you come back and see us?
I have a seat that they put them in, no.
I did have one question, Rob.
Yes.
29 years you were here?
Yes.
Correct. Okay. How long did the trail project take?
Who's up next, Linda? Rob Mallory.
Okay, that's ancient history, isn't it? It's a beautiful trail,
It is a beautiful
well lit.
trail. And-
You
and
know,
we're-
in that list, they didn't have control the weather, but they could have because you did well on that project, so
Yeah.
I'm sure these
And we're
other.
still, they're putting some, like Julie had it on her list, or some, they're putting some exercise equipment down there by where we had the opening. They have the pad poured, which took a long time of doing that because of the ground was soft, so. we're
Well, you'll
getting
have something to do in your retirement.
Uh-huh.
Just teasing you. Okay, are there any other questions for Mr. Hughes about his report or anything else?
Trail consultant.
Brainstorming, it happens
I
in
would
these
hire him
smaller
as a trail
rooms.
consultant for all the money in the world.
Sorry.
He's lousy as a trail.
Oh, I guess I was thinking out loud again.
So
I think he said no before you even got that out.
Man, I'm not even gone.
Special consultant.
Again, we thank you.
Thank you.
And if there's no more questions for Mr. Hughes, I will move right along to Mr. Mallory, our Director of Athletics.
Thank you, Governor Hirschway. Good afternoon, everyone. Relatively brief report from athletics today, just a few highlights from the last couple months. Back in April, we announced Sam McMahon as our new head men's basketball coach. And that announcement came on the heels of a highly competitive search, probably best pool of applicants in any search I've been a part of over the last 15 years. Sam stood out for his character, his relationship-driven philosophy. I think he's just going to be a great fit for Missouri Southern and the Joplin community. Sam previously served as an assistant coach here for 6 years, and I'm excited to have him on board. And if you have a chance to meet Sam and speak with Sam, I encourage you to do so. I think that you, as I did, will walk away inspired by that conversation. On May 9th, for the first time in 2 years, and certainly for the first time in my tenure here, we had all of our student athletes in one room at our all-athlete banquet, where we recognized the achievements of our student athletes over the past academic year. Some highlights, we recognized our seniors, we gave out some program awards, and then some department-wide awards for community service, athletic, and academic achievement, and the list of award winners from that night can be found on page 14. Also that night, the Student Athlete Advisory Committee announced their new leadership and announced that they had achieved their goal of raising more than $2,000 for Make-A-Wish, which is the national philanthropic organization for all Division II institutions. The new leadership for SAC is included in the report. I'm excited to work with this group, particularly excited that Kara Amos, a softball student athlete, will serve on the National Student Athlete Advisory Committee representing the MIAA. That leadership group has highlighted their significant priorities for the upcoming academic year to include community engagement, enhanced camaraderie amongst all student athletes and programs, and student athlete mental health. And work has already begun from the athletic administration and that leadership group in working to achieve those goals. The last thing that I'll mention that didn't make the cutoff for our reports, but I want to make sure to highlight the men's track and field tied a program best with a sixth place finish at this year's national championship meet. So that concludes my report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Mallory? Congratulations to all the athletes in track and field and for the others for their successes. Next is Ms. Ice with her treasurer's report.
Well, good afternoon. We will look at the financial statements for the period ending May 31 of 2022. 11 months of this fiscal year are passed. First thing we take a look at is the cash graph, and it reflects a balance of about $23.6 million. As I've mentioned before, there are significant one-time HERF dollars in there, for which obviously the university is grateful that we were able to draw down that funding this year. The next thing that we take a look at is the statement of net position, and that reflects that we have total assets of $187 million. We have liabilities of $133 million, and that gives us a net position of $54 million. The next statement that we look at is the comparative statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position, and we always look at the difference column year over year. Total operating revenues do reflect a decrease of $4.2 million. Total operating expense shows an increase of $4.8 million. And within this section, I wanted to talk about a couple things. Expenditures, when we look at those, obviously we have some increases and we have some things that offset. And one thing that I wanted to highlight that we had wanted to do for a long time, we were able to change over our phone system. And right now that is saving over, year over year, it's saved over about $200,000. That is significant. And it gets a little lost sometimes within some of the increases that you see, that you don't see an offset of savings. The other thing I wanted to talk about is, I talked about the CARES money for the institution. We also received CARES money, HERF funding, for our students. And last year we gave out about $2.6 million in CARES funding. This year, we gave out $7.6 million to students. So significant dollars to students, and some of that money was utilized. Some of those students made the decision to actually apply that to their student account balances, and so it helped across the board. And so I just wanted to make a mention of that was a major swing this year in CARES funding to students. The next thing we look at is non-operating revenue, and it shows an increase of $9.1 million. Big piece of that is the appropriation increase that we received this year, and obviously the HERF funding. The income before the revenues in the current year is about $2 million, and the prior year was about 1.95, and I have to clarify that because the increase year over year is about $70,000, but it is an increase. So we've done a lot of good work on campus. The other thing I wanted to mention, can't believe it, we're gearing up for our annual audit again with BKD. But actually on that note, I wanted to mention, and I don't know if anyone has seen this in the news, they have merged with another firm, DHG, and the two firms are very strong, profitable. They just have different regions. DHG is out of Charlotte, and they have merged together as of June 1, and the new name is Forvis, and that is made up of Forward and Vision. But I had correspondence with Ryan Civil from BKD, and our team will stay exactly the same. We will have the same processes for this current year audit, which is really good. It is the final year under the current bid, and so this fall we will go out for an audit bid again, but you will see things coming through under the name of Forvis versus BKD, but we still have the same team of Ryan, Kyle, and Allison. And as a matter of fact, they were on campus this week, and we have another new GASB to implement this year, and they are helping us gather that information. It has to do with leases, and it will have some impact on our statements. And then they will be on campus on June 20th to kick off the student financial aid testing. So busy time in our office, as it always is, but good information, good activity happening. The last thing that I want to say is to Rob. He has been a mentor. His leadership leaves a legacy and a foundation for years to come.
Thank you.
I'll answer any questions.
Linda may be one of your best successes, Rob. Just the way she gives a report, she's excited about audits and excited about.
Trained her well.
Yeah,
Gotta
good
love numbers.
training.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda, for your
Okay.
report. Are there any questions for
You know,
her?
one comment,
Oh.
I'm leaving this university in very, very capable hands with Linda. I mean, as Dean has mentioned, they're not replacing me, because you don't need to. You got a built-in person to do this stuff, so you'll be in good hands.
Thank you.
I think she disagrees. And it's a joint effort, and we appreciate you both. We'll miss you, Rob. But thank you for your report, Linda. Are there any questions for Linda? Okay, hers are ones, though. Thankfully, I remembered that I need a motion to approve her financial reports. Motion and a second.
Second?
Elliott, second by Gibson. All those in favor of approving the financial reports?
Aye.
Any opposed? The financial reports are approved. Next, we have Dr. David Locker, our Faculty Senate President. I was trying to think if this was when you switch, if you switch, next meeting, I guess.
Unfortunately, there won't be a switch.
Oh, good, that's fortunate.
I shouldn't be here right now, because typically the president-elect formally is sort of, we don't literally have a swearing-in ceremony, but formally assumes
Right.
the position of Faculty Senate President at our meeting in May. And Dr. Otto Borchert was
Oh.
president-elect, and he was in the hospital during that meeting and then passed away shortly after that, which left us in a bit of a lurch, and there is no policy in place for a situation like that. It's not the first time in history that a faculty senate president hasn't been able to step in, but it's the first time it happened under these circumstances.
Well, thank you for being here and for stepping in, and our condolences to you and the Faculty Senate.
Thank you.
You're in a different position than
I didn't
us,
expect
and-
to get emotional talking about it because we've talked about it so much. But so the short version is the executive committee, we talked it over amongst ourselves and in consultation with Dr. Van Galen, and ultimately decided that I will be filling the role of Faculty Senate President until the end of the fall semester, until December. And then at that point, our brand new president-elect, who hasn't had a chance to, do any of the things, she will be, that's Amber Carr, library faculty. She will be assuming the role of faculty president Faculty Senate President, starting in January.
Well, there's lots of changes. We're glad you're gonna be
Yeah,
there. And
so-
me,
so
myself,
I-
you know?
so I
Well,
will-
change is good, but a little stability.
Yeah, so I will be attending these meetings through December, and then it will be Amber Carr after that, starting in January. Doing it by semester works best. In the meantime, in terms of report, our primary activity towards the end of the semester, as everyone may imagine, it was reorganizing every single Faculty Senate committee, because they were all based on departments and colleges, and now there are 3 colleges rather than 4, and departments have shuffled around and changed names and things like that. And so I really want to give a shout out to Dr. Jean Colthorpe, who's the Faculty Senate Secretary, because she's the one who sat down and figured out which committees had to be changed, which turned out to be pretty much every single one of them, what those changes needed to be and how to make them, and then another shout out to the entire committee on committees, who then managed to make all of that happen. So we have now we have a restructured Faculty Senate as of that May meeting, for next academic year, and every Faculty Senate committee starting in August will be reshaped based on the new structure of the university. So that was pretty much April and May.
Okay, I don't mean to interrupt because I was really hesitant to interrupt a professor, but can you turn on your microphone?
It is.
It's on.
It's on. It's on.
Oh, okay. I just can't hear. See?
So that's where we are.
Are there any questions for Dr. Locker?
I don't have a question. I do want to acknowledge and thank the faculty, senate, and faculty on campus for going through the effort of the reorganization of the colleges and the work that you guys put in. So kudos to getting that done, that we can roll into the fall fully strong and engaged and moving forward with this new structure. And so thank you for all you guys have done this semester. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay, we do have a new Staff Senate President, and that's Miss Ashley Brownfield.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I'll go off of my report. We just started our new Senate term yesterday, actually. So some of our goals and things that we plan to do are listed in my report, but continuing to make the campus a great place to work for staff and faculty alike, and continuing to make it a great place for students to come here to learn as well. We also had our quarterly service champs that were recognized at the May meeting. Those were listed. Ms. Christina Hamilton, Devin Korth, and Dee Treat were those recipients for the first quarter of the year. And then we just had our staff elections as well that ended in May, and then turned our new senators for this next year. And then on the back of my report, you can see those listed as all the new staff senators. That is the conclusion of my report.
Are there any questions from the board for Ms. Brownfield or about the Staff Senate? Okay, we'll keep going here then and meet our new Student Senate President, who I met at lunch, Ms. Elizabeth Martin.
Thank you, Governor Hirschway. We had a very productive Student Senate this past academic year, and we had great leadership, and that many were seniors, so we kind of switched our whole our leadership for this year. I'd like to highlight 3 of our different larger projects that we completed since March and are working on still, and one of them is, as somebody has already mentioned, we have helped the Kinesiology Club with the exercise equipment to be put on the MSSU trail. We helped them with a $4,500 contribution to that. The next one that I'd like to talk about is our solar panel hammock stand. And this is going to be an inclusion of hammocks, and they have solar plug-ins for the students to be able to plug in their laptops, and it also would include a solar panel hammock or canopy that would help charge those outlets. We allocated $20,000 for this, and we hope this would be a great hangout space for the students in the next coming year. And the big project that was new this year that we implemented was Line Tank, and this is where we invited any campus clubs around the area to come and give us ideas for improvement around the campus. We were going to have one winner of the activity, and they were going to get $10,000 to start their project. And we had 3 clubs presented this time, and we hope to have more next year. But we, in the end, we allocated $10,000 to be given to the MSSU Clay Club to start a community garden on campus. And this project, we said in the report for the Line Tank that it should be completed by this fall semester, and I think that we will get this accomplished. And that concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Ms. Martin?
I have a question. I'm just wondering, where were the hammocks? Where did you end up putting them?
I can't remember exactly.
They are going to be in between the Alumni Center and the Rec Center in that grassy area right there.
Okay. Thank you.
I've got a question about the hammocks, if you can stand one more joke at Mr. Yost's expense. You think you could reserve one for him? That might be a good deal. Are there any other questions for Ms. Martin? Thank you to the Student Senate for the $4,500. That helps. Every little bit helps. Okay, that's it with our board reports. So we now move on to our board committees. Like I said, that's why we were running a little behind today. We had a lot of robust committee meetings today and discussion, and we have some business to complete. First, though, we will hear from our Personnel and Compensation Committee Chair, Governor Elliott.
We met in closed session and there will be, whoops. Oh, I pushed the button and the phone rang. Was that me?
No.
I didn't mean to embarrass you, Governor Gibson. Not me.
I know how to turn it down, Governor Elliott.
There we go. We can get my granddaughter on the phone if you need a little help. So, we met closed session this morning, and there'll be a report to the board in executive session later on this afternoon.
Thank you, Governor Elliott. Next is Academic Affairs, who had a big meeting today. We've already taken up our emeriti recommendations, so I believe there is one other item, so I will turn it over to Governor Oplotnik to talk about that.
Thank you, Chairwoman Hirschway. We did have a big meeting today in Academic Affairs, lots of items to cover. We talked about the strategic plan, which Dr. Toms has already covered, and the KCU Dental School update, adult degree program update, and a nursing program update. We do have one item to bring before the board today, and I'd like to make a motion for the board's approval for the faculty promotion and tenure recommendations.
And I think that list is in the board packet.
The list is noted there.
Okay, there's been a motion from the Academic Affairs Committee to approve for tenure and promotion, the items presented in the list in your board packet. Is there a second for that motion?
I second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations to those members on their promotion and tenure promotions. So next is another busy meeting with business to conduct, and that is from our Budget and Audit Chair, Governor Haley.
Thank you, Governor Hirschway. Budget and Audit Committee met today, and we had a spirited discussion. If you can think numbers, Rob and Linda, to have us discuss those in detail. We thank you for all of your information. We had an update on our current fiscal year 22 budget, so the crystal ball was accurate. We kind of lined out. We will probably hit close to budget is what we had planned, and so that is a positive thing. We also talked about the final numbers for the Voluntary Retirement Incentive Program, and then the discussion picked up as we talked about fiscal year 23 tuition. And so there's a few items that we need to approve. And so I'd like to bring those forward to the board for your approval. First item is to approve tuition, and I'll read these all together in one full motion. So I'd like to make a motion for the fiscal year 23 tuition rates to include the following. In-state Line Pride Oceanic tuition to be $267.53 per credit hour. Out-of-state tuition to be $535.06 per credit hour. Distance learning tuition to be $320.42 per credit hour. Graduate tuition rate of $350 per credit hour. And dual credit tuition is $50 per credit hour.
Okay, Governor Haley has brought forth a motion on approval from the Budget and Audit Committee for the rates as he just decided. Is there any further discussion on those rates? Or if not, is there a second for Governor Haley's motion?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second by Governor Gibson. All those in favor of the rates as stated and set out in your agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries, and those will be the set rates. I believe there's other items of business.
Yes, the committee also talked about the planning process for the fiscal year 23 budget. We know that was an undertaking to take on. We had some significant goals to accomplish to ensure that our budget was doable and feasible moving forward. We thought that the leadership team has brought forward a budget that we can adopt and agree upon. And so we do make a motion to approve the fiscal year 23 budget revenue budget of $75.3 million, which includes the administration to increase compensation by approximately $1 million effective July 1, 2022.
Okay. Well, I'm told we need maybe two motions. I think the committee discussed them both. Would you like to separate them? The budget or
Oh, but, okay.
the compensation increase in the fiscal year budget? I don't know. I have it on as two items.
Yes, we can, but I combine, because the compensation is included in the budget.
Okay.
I can
yeah.
split them.
No, I can change my notes.
Okay.
So, Governor Haley has brought forth a recommendation from the Budget Committee to improve a compensation package in a fiscal year 23 budget that includes that compensation. Is there any discussion, any more discussion about that, or if not, is there a second? Second by Governor Elliott. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, those motions carry. I guess our secretary will straighten that out. And I think there was one more item.
One more item from Budget and Audit Committee, and that is the delegation of authority policy that comes from the Board of Governors to the President, Dr. Van Galen. So we discussed that policy. There was some changes due to the leadership structure going forward in the next fiscal year. And so we'd like to make a motion to approve that policy that will tie into an administrative policy that be effective July 1, where Dr. Van Galen to identify and designate and delegate contracting authority to those he sees fits.
Is there any further discussion on that resolution as presented to you in your packet? Hearing none, Governor Haley has brought a motion to approve that resolution. Is there a second? Second by Governor Morgan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion also carries. Then our last committee, I don't think they met, but I'm not going to let an opportunity pass. Extending this meeting, my only meeting in the boardroom, to, it was an ad hoc committee, the pandemic committee that we've had for the last 2 years. And as Governor Gibson already said, thank you to Dr. Winger and to Mr. Yost for serving on the University Task Force about that. But I want to extend a special thank you to Governor Gibson, who took on that committee and worked it right. And our committee actually met very few times, but I believe that that's because Mr. Gibson, with the help of Dr. Wingert and Mr. Yost and all the health services, Julie and many others on campus. They did it right, and we appreciate it. And we're back in the room today, and I think that committee can probably be officially dissolved.
You know, the work and the effort that went into the, you know, not just the preparation, but the execution.
There you go. That's my guess.
Related to the COVID pandemic on campus was just stellar. And it's, you know, it's the Julian, Robin, Darren prior to that, and Julian in the Wilcoxon Center. I'm pleased to report I don't have a report. It was going to be my line, but, you know, have to say thanks to these folks again.
Well, and I
just listened to a lot of telephone calls. That's
Yes.
all I did.
Yeah, but thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you on behalf of the board and myself. So that concludes the committee reports, I believe. Is there any other old business that needs to come before the board today? None. We do have an item of new business. As you know, this is our annual meeting, and it's time for the election of officers. I don't know, do we do this in order or reverse order? Anyway, we will need to elect a chair, a vice chair, a treasurer, and a secretary. So I would open up nominations. I guess I'll go in the order that our secretary, very competent secretary, set out for me. And start by opening nominations for the position of chair.
I'd like to nominate Nita Plotnick for chair.
Governor Oplotnik, you've been nominated. Is there a second for that position?
I'll second that.
A second by Governor Rosenberg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next, an alumni, and has been a great chair of our Academic Affairs Committee, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our next is the position of vice chair. So I'd like to open nominations for that position.
Madam Chairman, it's my pleasure to nominate Carlos Haley for vice chairman.
Another alumni,
I'll second that.
and a second by Governor Oplotnik. All those in favor of Carlos Haley as vice chair?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, we've got our budget and academic affairs committee chairs as 1 and 2. That's a good work. Next, our nominations for treasurer. Linda Ice has served as our treasurer. I haven't asked her if she would be willing to serve again, but I would open nominations for that position.
I'll nominate Linda Ice.
Gibson, is there a second?
Second.
Who did I hear first?
The new vice chairman. I'll yield
Governor
to-
Haley,
yield to him.
second. All those in favor is Linda Ice as our treasurer?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Linda, and congratulations. Yes, there, I didn't even know. Now, next is our nomination for our position as board secretary. I did ask this person because I've had the pleasure of working very closely with her for the last 2 years, and I knew she was great, but I had no idea how much she really did for the board, in addition to being assistant to the president. And I appreciate it. And I would like to nominate Laura Boyd, who has agreed to serve if nominated, to remain as our board secretary.
I'll second that.
Second by Governor Oplotnik. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Laura. Are there any other items of new business that anyone knows that should come before the board at this time? Okay, our future meeting dates, the only one set for sure is September 9th, 2022, and I believe our new president will be working with Secretary Boyd to set the other dates and notify you very shortly. We do have need today to once again go into executive closed session. Our board counsel, Mr. Hammonds, has advised the topics we need to discuss are appropriate under 2 sections of the Sunshine Law, subsections 1 and 3. I don't have it written down. I think it's 610.021, subsections 1 and 3 having to do with personnel and legal affairs. We need a roll call vote to go into closed session unless there's any discussion, and if the secretary could take that vote. Oh, see how good she is? Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Haley, I heard, and a second by Morgan. Now it's time for the vote.
T-Mark Elliott,
Yes.
Bill Gibson,
Yes.
Carlos Haley,
Yes.
Allison Hirschway,
Yes.
Mary Ann Morgan.
Yes.
Anita Plotnick,
Yes.
Ron Richard,
Yes.
and Dr. Rosenberg.
Yes.
Okay, we'll be in closed session. I can't remember what room that is. Is that 356? 350? 343. Okay. See you down there.